Welcome to the Greater Than campaign. Our campaign is designed to bring awareness to the struggles life can place upon us and the conquerors who overcome them. The purpose of the campaign is to share stories of people dealing with complex issues with the intention of spreading hope to those who may face similar struggles. Welcome to the Greater Than campaign. I'm your host, Ramika, and in honor of Breast Cancer Month, today I have with me Tanisha.
Hi.
Hi.
Her name was Deborah Brandon. She was my best friend, my most loyal partner. She was my mother.
Okay, with that being said, tell me a little bit more about your mom.
Um, my mom was a very loving, lively young lady. Um, she was a supervisor at the post office for approximately 27 years.
Okay.
Very lively, full of life. She had five children biologically, but she helped with two others. So about seven of us that she was a mother to. Also a mother in the community, teen mom for all of our different athletic activities that we did. Um, she was just a great woman. She was um, God fearing, a cooker. Everyone knows my mom for her great macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask anyone, they know of her from that.
Okay.
Just a great all around woman and a great mother.
Tell me about the day you find out that she was diagnosed with cancer.
So that was a little complex. So the date that I found out my mother had cancer was in September 2013.
Okay.
Honestly, my mother was complaining of breast issues prior to, and we didn't take it serious. My mother was not a real health person where she wanted to talk about what was going on with her. If she had a doctor's appointment, we wouldn't know about it. If she had a common cold, she wouldn't go to the doctor.
Okay.
So it started out actually me working in healthcare. I've worked in healthcare since 2010. And she was telling me that she was having some breast issues, just like some itching, some burning, and just not looking normal in that area. Okay. So I do remember one day she showed me her breast. She just came downstairs and flashed me one day like, "Oh, look at this. What this look like?" And I'm like, "Looks normal. I don't know. Go to the doctor." So that progressed to her really having some issues. And she thought she had the shingles. That was the funny part. She thought she had the shingles.
What made her think that? Did she like Google something?
She was 50.
Okay.
And having the shingles is very prominent amongst people with in the 50s.
Okay.
You're told to go get vaccinations for shingle vaccinations. I worked for a very prominent healthcare organization at the time, Advocate. So I was telling her, like, yeah, Mom, I see people come into the office all the time getting shingles vaccinations. That's probably what you're going through with the itching and the burning. She didn't have any discharge from her breast. It was just itching and burning. And just her breast was throbbing. So she went to the doctor. And she's like, you know what? I think I do have the shingles. I'm going to go ahead and go in. So she went to the doctor. And I had left Advocate. And I just started a new job. And I remember her calling me on my lunch break and her saying, Tanisha, I just left the doctor. And I can tell in her voice that it was something that she wasn't comfortable with. So I told her, hold on, give me a moment. Let me go out to the courtyard. I'll call you back. So when I spoke to her, long story short, she's like, she's not really aware of anything in the healthcare field. And she's scared of it. Me, that's just my passion.
Right.
So I was okay with talking about it.
Yeah.
I was okay with anything that was coming forth. And she also did her care with Advocate. So me also just quitting from them or working for them, I knew how the organization works. So I was a helpful aid to her. So I called her back and I said, what happened? And she said, I went to the doctor and they had me undressed. And as soon as I turned around, the doctor came in the room. He looked at my breast and she said he opened up the door. He just just opened the door open. and yelled out into the hallway and said, "Get Dr. Such and Such on the line now."
Oh, wow.
So this particular doctor is a breast surgeon with Advocate. So me not wanting to scare her, I knew what was going on. So I said, "Mom, when do you go see this doctor?" She says, "My appointment is at 12. It's 10 a.m. I said, "Oh, you have an appointment with the breast surgeon in 2 hours?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." She said, "Mom, I'm going to go there. This is my brand new job." And I left my work and I went up there. I met her and she was just engulfed with tears. And she was like, "If you're here, I know something is wrong." And I said, "No, you're just my mom. I'm not going to leave you hanging like that."
Yeah.
So, but me, mentally, I know what's going on. Because with any doctor's office, you don't get a same day appointment within a couple of hours with a specialist. So we went in, I checked her into the doctor, I had her wait in the waiting room. I asked her, I said, "Can I see your referral?" Because on your referral, you have a referring diagnosis. So I read her referring diagnosis, and it said Peau d'Orange. That's French for orange color. I looked at that, didn't really know what that meant because I'm like, orange breast, I don't know what that means. So when I looked it up on Google while we're sitting in the lobby, Peau d'Orange, when it relates to breast cancer, was your breast takes the formation of an orange. So the breast turned orange. It was thick skin of an orange. And also, you know how orange has like the large pupils and then like her breast was supposed to take that form. And they were going to do a on-site biopsy. So when they took us to the back, she said, "Is anything wrong with me, Tanisha?" So I took her to the back and I saw the room set up to do a biopsy.
Yeah.
I kept my cool. The doctor did come in. She looked at her breast. My mother disclosed herself, and her breast looked exactly like an orange.
Oh, wow.
It had the large pupils in it. It was orange. The skin was very thick, and I saw the table set up to do a biopsy. So I sat there when the doctor came in. We talked about it, and right there on the spot, they did a biopsy. And I held my mother's hand. I was standing right next to the physician. My mother was here. I was here. The physician was here. And it was an ultrasound guided biopsy. So that means that the doctor did an ultrasound and was looking at where she was going through the screen with the knife. So I was able to see the cancer dead on through the screen.
Oh, wow.
So I watched him remove pieces of it that day. At that time, that was the first day. That was her first diagnosis of what it was. Didn't know how far it had advanced. And I sat there and I watched it, and that was very tough. So that was the first day that it was on set for us.
What stage was she at?
That day they projected her to be at stage 3.
Okay.
This particular cancer has 4 stages.
Okay.
Once the testing came back, we found out that she was actually in the 4th stage, and it has metastasized throughout her body.
Especially with the changes in her breasts were noticeable.
Yeah, so with this particular breast cancer, it's not estrogen produced. Most breast cancers is based off estrogen, which is the female hormone.
Yes.
My mother's was called a triple negative, genetically. So it was genetic produced breast cancer. Had nothing to do with hormones. Therefore, she only had 4 stages of it. This breast cancer was not mammogram detectable.
Oh, wow.
So when you have a mammogram looks at breast tissue thickness along with the lump. And if you don't have both, they don't correlate. So you'll get a false negative. Even though my mother never had a mammogram, because like I said, she was like a person that's not of healthcare, just scared. Even if she was to get a mammogram, it would not detect it because she did not have a lump.
Oh, wow.
She has a thickening of the skin, but without the lump, the mammogram wouldn't set off a signal of we have a problem. It could send off a false negative. So at that moment, she did not have a lump, but she definitely had the thickening of the skin.
Okay.
And this particular breast cancer, you produce a lump at the end, but by the time you get to that stage, it has already metastasized, meaning it's spread all over your body by then. So I think that by that time you're at the end of it, and it's very, very aggressive, and it's
Okay.
really nothing you can do about it.
Now, at that moment in the hospital, where was your head? What were your thoughts?
Me personally, I'm the oldest girl. I work in healthcare, so it was like another day at work. It didn't hit me that you're not at work. This is your mom. So I held it together. I was fine. I held her hand. I looked at the cancer on the screen. I looked at the cancer coming out her body and put on the slide to go to pathology. It didn't really hit me. It didn't hit me at all then, at all. So it didn't hit, honestly, it didn't hit me to the very end of the whole situation.
Oh, wow.
Like, I was like in a deep denial because I was just, my body, I think my body was in autopilot.
Were you thinking like she's going to pull through?
No.
Is that?
That's the funny part.
Oh, wow.
I never thought that my mom was going to make it. When I looked at the referral and I saw Pew Day Orange and I Googled it and I saw cancer, something automatically triggered in my mind that you're going to lose your mom. I knew it.
And is this because you're in healthcare?
I think it's because I was in healthcare and it desensitized me to a lot of different things.
Okay.
And also just, I don't know, I don't know if I'm sure everyone doesn't believe in God, but I'm a firm believer in him. And I believe he prepared me from it from the beginning.
Wow.
Because it spoke in my spirit that day that you're not going to have her, but do what you need to do.
What was the biggest change in your mom after the diagnosis?
Mentally.
Okay, her mental.
That was the biggest change, mentally.
Was she more down and out, depressed?
Yeah, because that when I tell you, that started immediately.
Did
Like, when I say immediately. When they put the sutures on her, in her, and put the gauzes from the biopsy that day in September, my mother went into a panic attack. She had a panic attack. She went into anxiety, and she couldn't even go home. Well, drive herself. I had to drive her home, and then come back and get her car. It hit me that day when I drove her home. The doctor said we need to give her anxiety medication, some Xanax, because she totally went out of it. And I went to pick up her medication, and I called my best friend when I was in the parking lot of Jules. And I called my best friend, and I'm like, Nika, my mom has cancer. And that's when I literally felt my soul leave my body. Mm-hmm. I've never felt like that. I felt like that once again after this whole situation. But that was the first time I ever felt that way. My mother totally mentally was gone. Like, you couldn't talk to her. You couldn't even ask her what her name was. She was gone. And it took me like the next week to talk to her. And I'm like, Mom, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. It's just that they gave you a diagnosis. You have not gone through any treatment. You are still the same person that you were today. It's just affecting you here. But you're still the same person that you were. But it took her out.
Now, what type of treatments? I'm sure she went to treatment immediately because you were like, you picked up the medication. What were her treatment options?
So she was diagnosed in September 2013. Because I work for Advocate, I knew how to maneuver the system. Mm-hmm. And I had friends. So I was able to start her diagnostic treatment within the next week. Oh, wow. She had to do numerous CT scans, body scans, which is PET scans, MRIs. October, she started chemotherapy. Okay. She did between 4 to 6 rounds of chemotherapy. That was very hard. She also had to do what's called, at that particular medicine that she had, Nutramigen. Neupogen, I'm sorry. She had to do Neupogen injections, which were injections to help her bones create marrow and also create nutrients to keep creating the what she needed so she can keep up the chemo treatments. So we did those for 4 to 6 months. April 2014, she had a double mastectomy. The cancer was gone, but we just needed to remove anything.
Yeah.
So April, I want to say, believe the date was April 21st of 2014. She had a double mastectomy. Starting in May, she started radiation. Radiation was not needed, but they wanted to do it just to penetrate the area of the chest to make sure that the cancer did not come back. Once again, this was a very, very aggressive cancer. Very, very aggressive. And because it was not estrogen produced, they did not have a chemotherapy for it.
Oh, wow.
So what they call chemotherapy, they call it cocktails. So they didn't have a correct cocktail for her. Yeah. So she did the normal chemotherapy treatments of any other normal breast cancer patient that was dealing with estrogen-produced breast cancer. So she had nothing in particular to her. It was like clinical trials, that you could say. So she did that. She did the double mastectomy in April. And then she had the radiation in May 2014. She went into remission shortly after May. Her birthday was May 23rd. May, June, July. She started to have back problems in August. And she's like, Tanisha, my back hurts.
Yeah.
Automatically, I was like, the cancer's back.
The cancer spread, correct?
It had already spread to her back, her bones.
Okay.
Even her gallbladder.
Yeah.
Her pelvic area. When she was first diagnosed, the doctors told me that the next place for it to go is her pelvic. But at that moment we didn't see it there, but they told me that was the next place to go. But in August, when she started having these back pains again, we knew that it had already metastasized to her spine, to her back.
Yeah.
So she was diagnosed. We went back in August to do the testing. We went back. She did testing in September. She was diagnosed 1 day later than her original diagnosis with it again.
Now,
and this time it hit more aggressively.
During her remission period, how many months was she in remission for?
I would say from May, June, July, hit her back in August.
Now, you said at the beginning that you kind of knew that this may have been it for your mom. During her remission, did you still have those feelings?
No. When she went into remission, I felt like, oh, I have my mommy back.
Okay.
She was back. Her hair, my mother's hair was jet black down to here.
Yeah.
So her hair was starting to grow back. She was feeling herself. She dyed it blonde.
Okay.
She went and bought her a Porsche truck girl and some Burberry sunglasses.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I got my mama back.
Yeah, she's back.
She's back.
Okay.
Her birthday was May 23rd. Took her to Z 451 downtown.
Nice.
We had a good time. I didn't think that. But when she told me instantly, like, my back hurts. The beginning of August, I said, that's when reality set back. So when she went through remission, because she was fine even doing radiation, it was just they looked at radiation more so as preventive to keep it from coming back. So I was okay with her doing radiation because I knew the cancer was gone.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't, they were going to continue. Her treatment plan was to continue chemotherapy and not even do the mastectomy. So because that they stopped the chemo and did the mastectomy, I knew that there was no site of the cancer. It was gone from her lymph nodes, everything. But when she told me that day that my back hurts, it was like all over again. Emotions for me, all over again. But me being the strong one, I was the caregiver, the caretaker, power of attorney. I was everything for her. That's when it just hit home like, okay, you gonna lose your mom this time. For real.
How was the relationship during this time, especially during those days when you found out it traveled to the back and it was spreading? How was your relationship with your mom? How was her relationship with everybody?
It was sad because we wasn't used to her not being able to do anything. My mother, like I said, she was like the community team mom.
Yeah.
Everyone knew her. We would come to the house. She would cook. We would have get-togethers. It was different. So for her not to be, my mother, her cooking was her passion.
Yeah.
So her not to be able to make a pan of macaroni and Greek chicken was like, okay, something is wrong.
Right, right.
So my relationship, I would say towards the end, got to be a little racy because at that time she's tired. She's sick. She's giving up. She doesn't care. She's angry. She's upset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm upset. This is my mom. I'm angry and I'm upset. And my mother was young. When I lost her, she was 53. So she was young. So I was angry and I was upset. I had a 12-year-old sister. So it was like, what's happening?
Wow.
What's going on? You know, I had a 12-year-old sister, another sister, senior in high school. So it was like, this should not be happening to you. So we had a very, 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 very strong relationship. That was my best friend. I told her my business and everybody else is around. So we were like best friends. But when it came to that, it was like she was sad. She was scared. But towards the end of it, she was more accepting. I remember it was times I asked her, or my oldest brother on my mother's side asked her, are you ready to go home? And she said she nodded her head, yeah. And my brother said, no, I mean, are you ready to go home with grandma? And she looked up and said, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Oh, wow. So during this process, she was already starting to kind of accept that.
Towards the end. At the beginning, when she first did chemo, she said, this stuff. If this stuff come back, I'm not doing chemo again. I'm not doing it. She said, y'all just going to have to lose me. I'm not doing it. It's too bad.
Yeah, it tires them out.
It was rough.
Yeah.
She couldn't even drink Hawaiian Punch for a long time.
Was that like her favorite?
It was one cocktail that was red. It was one chemotherapy cocktail that was red, like very fine juice. It looked like very fine from Sam's Club or Hawaiian Punch,
like
and it made her sick.
Okay.
So when she got done with it, she could not look at Hawaiian. We were not allowed to buy any juice that was red.
Oh, wow.
Pop, fruit punch, very fine, and we love us some very fine from Sam's Club. She could not tolerate it, look at it, nothing. Wow. So it was a back and forth thing.
Wow.
She was more lively the first time around. When she was re-diagnosed and she had to do chemo again, she only was able to do one round of chemo.
Yeah.
Only one round.
Tell me about the last interaction with your mom.
The last interaction, I'm trying to think. Can I give you two?
Yeah, that's fine.
So the first that's more prominent in my mind, because when my family was going through this, I moved my whole family in my home. All my siblings and my mom, I moved them in my home. They lived with me for a little bit over a year. And one of the most prominent times was right before I took her to rehab. She told me she wanted to go to rehab. She said, I can't do this. I need to walk. I need to be able to take care of myself. She's a very black, independent woman. I need to do this for myself. So I said, okay, I'll set it up. I'll let you go to rehab. But that day, I was trying to help her take her medicine, and she stopped me on the counter, and she said, let me do this my own way. And I promise you, I'm going to get better for you, because you can't keep doing this for me. And I said, Mommy, it's okay. I'll do this for you to the day that I'm gone. She took her medicine, and then she needed to take a shower. At this time, her lungs was retaining water. So she had what you call JP drains. I had to drain her, or her nurses would come in and drain her every couple of days and take the fluid off her lungs.
Yeah.
So I took her, and I gave her a shower. And at my home, and it's still hard. Even when I take showers at my home by myself, I have to think about something else. Because I think about this last time. I gave her a shower as I was washing her body. She looked at me and she said, turned around, she said, "You should not have to do this for me." She said, "I promise you, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better for you. You have your own life. You have your own child. That's what you need to take care of. You don't need to take care of me. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be all right." And I'm a jokester. So I said, "Mom, you been," at that time when I lost my mom, I was 27. So I was like, "Mom, you been wiping my booty for 27 years. I can wipe yours for 5 minutes.
Right,
girl.
right,
Turn
right.
around. Let me get that." And she was just like, "No." She said, "You joking, but I'm serious. I'm going to get better for you." And every time I go take a shower at my home, if I'm not thinking of something else, I think of that moment, of that conversation, of her telling me, "I'm going to get better for you." And then after that, that was the same day I took her to her nursing home. And the last real interaction that we had, she went from her nursing home. She was there for 1 week. She used to have to do transfusions. So she had to do a transfusion. They could not. They didn't have the manpower to do it at the nursing home. She had to go to the hospital. So she went to the hospital. I went there with her. The next following day, I got a phone call, and I was told that she was like in a coma, but she had woke up. And I got a phone call saying that she was awake. And I went there after work, and we spoke, we talked. She told me she was hungry. I went and got her some chocolate Ensures. Mm-hmm. And we sat there, and she was looking at me, rolling her eyes, because it was time for them to come drain her chest. And she was like, "They don't know what they're doing. Can you come do it, Tanisha?" And that was like one of our last moments. And I was like, "Mom, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right." And I left that night, maybe around midnight. They let me stay long. I left around midnight, and she went back into a coma. And maybe like 2 days, or maybe a day later, 2 days later, I got a call from my brother there. And I'm not a very religious person, but I know God, and I'm spiritual. And it's an old folk saying that said, before God takes you home, he makes you new. And what that means by making you new, he makes you whole. You can talk, you can see, you can smell, you can do anything you want to do. Mm-hmm. That's how you know he's getting ready to take you home. My mother was in a coma. My brother called me and said, "Hey, somebody want to talk to you." By this time, I'm used to doctors calling me, telling me mean stuff like, "You should give up. Let go. Pull the cord. It's not real. You need a miracle. Miracles aren't real. Blessings aren't real."
Yeah.
So by this time, I'm ready to tell the doctor, like, "Oh, okay. Put him on the phone, brother."
Right.
And it was my mom. And she said, "Are you coming to see me today?" I said, "Baby, I'll be there when I get off at 5:30. And I got there. She told me, I said, "Did you eat?" She said, "I ate some French toast." So that was God making her new. But by the time I got there, she was back in a coma. So I didn't get a chance to talk to her again. I didn't get a chance to see her again or have a conversation. So the last convo we had was when I brought her the Ensure a couple nights before, and she was fine. She was saying, "I don't feel good. I feel fine. I'm gonna do what they tell me to do so I can come home." I had just got grants from different pharmaceutical companies for her chemotherapy medicine. I had $40,000.
Oh, wow.
Worth of medication being delivered to my home. And I told her, I said, "Mommy, we can just get you home. You home, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Get you home, we're going to be all right." But she ain't make it to come home.
3, 2.
So how long was your mom in a coma for?
Let me think. Maybe 7 days. Maybe 7 days, because she went out of it. She was in intensive care in the ICU for a while, for maybe 2 days at one particular hospital. And I got so fed up, believe it or not, doctors was coming up to me saying, "You need to cut this. Stop it. Cut it out. You need a blessing, it's never gonna happen.
Oh,
you
wow.
want a miracle, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
The stories you read in your so-called Bible, not real. Just fictitious stories.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was up against. And I was so full of it. I was like, I need my mother to switch to another institution. I work in healthcare, so I'm very knowledgeable about different
Yeah.
things and different diseases that onset while you're in the hospital, like sepsis. I was seeing things. I would ask them, "Can you clean my mom? Can you wash her mouth? Can you do this?"
While
Can
she
you
was
do
in a
that?"
coma.
Yeah, they was not. So I got fed up and I said, I need her to be switched to a different hospital. She was switched in wee hours of the night, like 2 a.m. in the morning. Switched to a different hospital. And that's when it came forth that she developed sepsis in her body. And because she had cancer and her body was just had too much of a low immune system to fight off the sepsis, regardless of any antibiotic that she had that they were giving her, she fell into a coma deeply, and she never came out. So I didn't have a conversation with my mom for about a week, or a little bit over a week, and after that she just transitioned on to the other side.
How does, well, first, a question I have is, you being in healthcare, and I know for me, when I lost my best friend, and when I lost my grandma, it was always like, what can you do to prevent it? How did we get here? What, those questions. Do you think it's a cure for cancer?
I definitely believe it's a cure. Definitely believe it's a cure. But when I had to be in it, and I saw that, mind you, I lost my mother in 2015.
Yeah.
We're in 2019. I still have her chemotherapy pills in my cabinet right now. Because
Oh, wow.
I don't have the heart to throw them away. One, because it's my mommy. Two, because it's people that don't have the means to get to this medication. This 30-day supply is $30,000.
Oh, wow.
A 30-day supply is $30,000. It's a cure, but it's more so advantageous for the medical side and pharmaceutical companies to make money off of it,
Of course.
to keep you sick.
Yeah.
There definitely is a cure. For you to tell me that, oh, your mother's cancer is not estrogen produced, it's based off a genetic mutation. We don't even have a chemotherapy for her, but we're going to just experiment with her and see how she does with the estrogen produced chemotherapy. It's medication for it. It's if you have the money to buy it, or
Right.
the insurance behind you. My mother had the typical HMO,
Okay.
which is a managed health care, which means they tell you where you can go, where you can't go, what medication that the insurance company is going to pay for, and what they're not going to pay for. She had a typical managed care insurance, which is typical for most Americans of society today.
Yeah.
But there definitely is a cure, but there's no advantage to the cure economically. That's the sad part.
How has her death affected you now, and how has it changed your life?
Oh, it's really affected me. It not only affected me, it affected my whole family. When I lost my mom was 53. She had a 13-year-old daughter. She had an 18-year-old daughter. I was 27, and my youngest brother was in his mid-20s, and I had an older brother as well. So it has affected us all individually different. Me personally, it just made me a stronger person. Just to know, my mother always had a saying when we was young. I just think she would say, "This doesn't make us clean up." She would always say, "My life is not promised to you." And I just thought she wanted me to mop the kitchen. I was like, "Girl, if you want me to mop this kitchen, just tell me."
Right.
But I get it now. Her life, God didn't promise us eternal life. Now here on earth, I get it now. Her life was not promised. So I think about that all the time. My baby sister that was 13 at the time, she's graduated from high school last year.
Oh.
She is in the national, she's in the Army.
Oh, wow.
She's done well. My other sister is doing well for herself. I'm doing well for myself. My youngest brother is doing well for himself. He actually works for one of the major health organizations, Advocate Medical Group. My older brother, he works for a post office like my mom did. We're all doing well, but it took a great mental effect. It really did. And because I'm the family member that's into healthcare, it made me look at things a little different. So I went and I did my genetic testing in 2017
Okay.
or 2016, between those 2 years. I went and did my genetic testing because cancer runs prevalently on both sides of my family.
Oh, wow.
With my mom and my dad's side.
Okay.
So I went and I, thank God, tested negative
That's good.
for my mother's genetic triple negative breast cancer, but it does not put me in the clear for estrogen produced breast cancer. So that's the double standard to it. It's scary. When I used to see pink, I just thought, oh, it was a cute color. It's now look at it like, oh, you guys are making money off of it. It's so commercialized. I look at it in a different light.
Yeah.
Because people are diagnosed with breast cancer every day.
Yes.
But October is the only time we want to take heed to it.
Exactly.
So I look at it a little bit differently. I take it more serious and more to heart, especially with my family dealing with it with different times and segments of our lives individually and personally. I had a 4-year-old son when I lost my mother. So just looking at how it affects us all individually in our personal times of our life, it was hard. It still is hard for us.
What changes are you making as of today in honor of your mom?
Just to be more aware and to get out there more. I stayed in the shadow and in the hiding, just dealing with my feelings after she passed. I will say this year, I felt some differences with my own breasts. Last month, I said I gotta go to the doctor. I felt some different. It made me nervous and scared. I felt some itching.
Oh, wow.
With my own breasts. And I've actually had breast biopsies when I was in college. I've had lumps the size of golf balls removed when I was in college. They all came out benign. Nothing cancerous. No carcinomas or anything like that. But recently when I felt like the itching sensation and the burning, I'm like, oh, this is way too familiar. So now I am quick to go to the doctor. I've always been quick, but now with losing my mom, I'm like, oh,
even more on it.
I'm like the same day, I gotta go. So those are the changes, just not letting things stay stagnant.
Okay.
And just keep going. Anytime you feel any type of change in your body that you don't know what it is, I don't care if it's any type of discoloration or I don't care if you ate something different, go to the doctor. So those are the changes, not really so much dietary, because I don't want to make myself feel like I'm in a cage.
Of course.
Or I'm in a jail in my own body. I still want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
I still want to eat what I want to eat.
Yeah.
Even though I know I probably should look at things a little differently. But I just don't want to feel that I'm a prisoner.
Yeah.
Because my mother's cancer wasn't even the typical breast cancer that, is based off of estrogen and sugar, things like that.
Wow.
It was just based off of genes that was relayed down from generation to generation.
Wow.
So I'm thinking like, it's some stuff that's inevitable. I cannot help. So me cutting out meat or me cutting out sugar, it may not have nothing to do with that.
Wow.
It just may be from my great grandmother that I obtained that gene, So just being more cognizant of what's going on in my body, paying attention to different changes, not letting it slide under the rug. If my kids telling me that they're tired or they're feeling some type of way, if I see a bump or a bruise,
Okay.
taking them to the doctor. So those are the personal changes that I'm making.
With that being said, and that's good to know. That's really good to know. Any last words or any advice you would give anybody people that are going through the cancer battle themselves, or someone that has someone close to them that's dealing with the same thing, any advice, anything you would like to say?
I would say that you are not alone. Do not stay quiet. It's scary, but you're not alone. Be scared, but do not grow weary. It's millions of people, thousands of people that's going through the same thing that you are going through. If you see something wrong, do not be afraid to go to the doctor. If you go to the doctor and they tell you one thing and you do not feel in your soul that it's okay for them to tell you, ask questions. Go seek a second opinion. And there are people out there like you. There are families out there like you. You're not the first, and you surely will not be the last. We were a small family, ages from 13 to 37. We were young. Some of us knew what we were doing. Most of us did not even know what we were headed towards. There's no age limit. There's no age limit on ignorance or intelligence. Ask questions. Seek help. Involve people around you. Embrace the hugs. Embrace the knowledge. Embrace the help. And just speak your truth, because you're not by yourself. It's a whole community of others around you that you just do not know that's going through the same thing.